The Indian team, fresh off their win against Pakistan in Australia. This is, you remember, during the ongoing T20 World Cup 2022 campaign in Australia. We're learning Indian players boycotted their lunch after their optional training session on Tuesday afternoon. They felt it was cold and inadequate. Now, this is a story that is in the news because of the fact also that the team is fresh off their win. These are their few training days right before their next match. Remember, they're set to play Netherlands tomorrow during the same World Cup campaign. Now, we're also learning that the ICC had decided to hold India's practice session at Blacktown. That's a suburb of Sydney. But the team refused to practice there because it was 42 kilometers away from the hotel where the players are staying. Those are the details we have right now with us. I'll wait for a second to come to know if we have a colleague connected with us for more details.
See, Indian team were unhappy with the food which was given to them yesterday at lunch when they had a full-fledged practice session at the Sydney Cricket Ground where I'm standing right now. So Indian team spent almost 2.5 hours. Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, everyone practiced, and this is the tradition all over the world. Once you finish your practice session, you get your lunch in the stadium. Good lunch normally, and even the press people, we also get the lunch. Normally it's the Indian dishes or whatever the players prefer, but here strangely it wasn't there. It was like sandwich and make your own sandwich, falafel and all those stuff. Players were obviously hungry because they had a practice session from 10:30 to 12:30, and they were expecting that, as is the norm. So obviously players were unhappy. They did go to their hotel room respectively, and they had their lunch, and they protested about that. They spoke to their team management, and the Indian team management conveyed it to the ICC officials. This is not done. That part is perfectly fine. But the second point, which is being said, that Indian team in protest, they decided to boycott the second practice day, which is today, because it's 42 kilometers away from the hotel. That is not correct. Because when the schedule was met 2 months back, it was decided that the Indian team practice will be there. The thing is that, yes, Indian team were unhappy with the food arrangement yesterday, and obviously they are also unhappy, little bit unhappy with the hotel in Melbourne, which was a 4-star hotel. Normally they stay in a 5-star hotel whenever they tour Australia because there's a bilateral fee. But since we all have to understand that it is an ICC tournament where so many teams are there, so the arrangements are being done not just keeping India's demands in mind, but all things keeping in mind.
My colleague Rishi Sinha is with us right now to bring us more context on the story. Rishi, particularly for those who don't follow cricket moment by moment, could you bring our audiences more context on why this story is newsworthy? Is this part of a larger pattern of lapses from the ICC? Could you bring us more context?
So, you know, when you have to understand this story, you have to just think that, Indian team is out there in Australia playing a tournament as big as a World Cup. And at that point of time, if any team is not provided, the priorities or what the team what the team wants is not adhered to properly, it might actually, it doesn't send a great signal. It's not very good optics for something like ICC. So when these schedules were made, or even when the food preferences that we are talking about, when all these schedules are made, in that part of the world, in Australia, New Zealand, England, cold sandwiches and everything are a norm. But when it comes to this part of the world, the Asian part of the world, the kind of food habits are very, very different. So I feel it's the duty of the ICC to adhere to the norms, to figure out what exactly would the teams be wanting, what exactly the teams would be liking. Apart from that, the other controversy, the other thing that is emerging is also about the practice venue that's 42 kilometers away from the team hotel. That's again a big problem. We completely understand that this schedule and this whole the whole practice thing was shared with the BCCI almost 2 months in advance. But again, you have to understand that the team will be on the eve of the match, the team will be traveling 42 kilometers for a practice session. Then again, it's not one of the best things you can do in a tournament like a World Cup. The team should be provided as much support as possible from the ICC. So, and also as far as the practice session is concerned, I think we should also need to figure out, and eventually to be figured out, that BCCI approves the schedule. So who in BCCI actually approved the schedule also needs to be figured out, because this schedule was approved 2 months in advance. That's one very, very big thing that a lot of people are missing out. So it's just does not give good optics to
Okay.
a tournament as big as a World Cup.
Rishi Sinha, thank you so much for providing us with context on that.